All right, so here's the video review for Module 5. So this stuff is pretty explanatory, so I'm not really going to go over any of these two things. So we're going to just get started. So number 1, we should get an answer of -4, 2. So let's look at this. This is our slope, so we go up and right, and then this is our y-intercept. So we start at the y-axis on 3, we go up 1, right 4 until we can't anymore. Remember, the opposite movement of that is going down 1, left 4. The biggest mistake I see is we forget our left and rights. In this one, our slope is a -5/4, and that negative always gets attached to the top number there. And then our y-intercept is -3. So we're going to start at -3, and then we go down and right. So down 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and right 4. And then I can't do that again, so I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to go up 5, left 4, and I can do that again. I can go up 5, left 4. And look at this. My graph does cross at -4, 2. All right, let's look at the next one. So we have a y-intercept of 3, and then our slope is a +1/2. So I go up and right. So we start at 3, go up 1, right 2, and we do that until we can't anymore. Go in the opposite direction because you don't really know where your graph's going to line up. So this is down and to the left. And I know this is fast, but I'm a grandmaster. In this one, my y-intercept is a -4, but my slope is not just a 4. I have to write it as 4/1. So that means I go up 4, right 1. Whenever you have just a number, you got to turn in a fraction by putting it over 1. So I go up 4, right 1, up 4, right 1, up 4, right 1. And I go in the opposite direction too, just to make sure I complete my graph totally. And look at that. My graph does pass through at 2, 4, which is the solution that I gave you. Number 3, our solution should be -1, 3. My slope is a -1/1. My y-intercept is a 2, so I start at 2. This tells me to go down 1, right 1, so I'm going to do that until I can't anymore. And once I have, I go in the opposite direction, which is up 1, left 1. And again, you should always make a nice straight line. We're dealing with linear equations this year. Here we have a y-intercept of -4, and then our slope this time is a -7, but I have to put it over 1. So I go down and to the right. So starting here at -4. Now this time I can't go down 7 and right 1. So instead I do the opposite movement. I go up 7, left 1. And really I can only do that once. So this is my only line. But look, my graph still passes through at -1, 3, which is what I said your solution should be. Number 4, it says our solution should be 1, 4. So let's look at this. My y-intercept this time is a 4. My slope is a -8/1. Got to be careful. I have them flip-flopped. So this gives me, I start here. I can't go up. Oh, this tells me go down. So I go down 4 and right 1. I can't do that again. I also can't go in the opposite direction. So really that's all I can graph for right now. In this second one here, again, it's flip-flopped. My y-intercept is first, which is a -3, and my slope is technically a -1/1. So starting at -3, I go, this says down and right, so I go down 1, right 1. Repeat that until I can't anymore. And then we go in the opposite direction as well, which leaves me with 1, -4, which is my solution. In this next problem here, our slope is going to be 1/1 because there's technically a 1 in front of this guy. And then the y-intercept's a -2, so I start at -2. This tells me to go up and right by 1, so I'm going to do that. And again, the biggest mistake I see is people accidentally go to the left instead of going to the right. Then I do the opposite movement so I can extend my line all the way. This next one is the slope is going to be 7, but I have to put it over in a 1, which means I go up 7, right 1. And then my y-intercept is a 4. Now in this problem, when I start at 4, I can't go up 7. So instead I do the opposite. I go down 7, left 4. And honestly, I can only do that once. So here's where my graphs cross, and they cross at 1, negative 1. Negative 3. See? Always at least one boo-boo. Negative 3. There we go. Fixed. Easy peasy. So let's look at the next one here. Our slope is 3 over 2, which means we go up 3, right 2. Our y-intercept is 4. So I start at 4, go up 3, right 2. I can only do that once, so I do the opposite direction, which is down 3, left 2, until I can't anymore, and draw my beautiful straight line. In the next one here, my slope is still 3 over 2. My y-intercept is 4. And everything's the same about it, so we have total overlap, which means we end up with an infinite solution. Moving on to word problems. So Miss Rawolf, Batwoman, Mud Cleaner, Pencil Picker Upper has negative $1 in her investment account, and it increases by 4/3 of a dollar every day. Mr. Poskis, Jedi Knight, Grandmaster, Super Math Guy, has $2 in his investment account and gains 1/3 of a dollar every day. So I only showed you the word problems that start with y equals. And in this guy here, days is our x-axis, dollars is our y-axis. And I realized during class yesterday, I should have had this extend to a -1. So it goes 0 and then -1. So I want you to do that now too. We're going to talk about Miss Rawolf. So she has negative $1 in her investment account, and it increases by 4/3 of a dollar every day. So right now I have negative $1, but when I increase, I go up, and I go up by 4/3 of a dollar every day. Every day is going to be our x, so this is how we write this. And I can graph from here, right? I have a y-intercept of -1, and then I have a slope of 4 over 3, which tells me to go up and right. So starting at that -1 I made, I go up 1, 2, 3, 4, right, 1, 2, 3. And I just repeat that until I can't anymore. And just be careful you don't accidentally go up 5. I've done that and I've seen it. So now let's extend our beautiful line here. And the next one here, Mr. Poskis, well, we know he has $2 in his investment account, and he gains 1/3 of a dollar every day. So already has $2, but he gains, which goes up by 1/3 of a dollar every day, so that's why we get our x there. So the y-intercept here is 2. 1/3 is our slope, which tells us to go up and right 3. Start at 2 on the y-axis here. Up 1, right 3, up 1, right 3, up 1, right 3, and repeat that until you can't anymore. And I apologize that my graph wasn't written out correctly. And here we are. Our graph does say in 3 days he will have, or they will both have $3. Miss Bailey has 4 paper clips in her desk and finds 2 more in the floor in the hall every week. Miss J has 1 paper clip in her desk and finds 2 more in the teacher's lounge every week. So again, all of our equations are going to start with y equals. Paper clips is our y-axis. Our x-axis is talking about weeks. Well, Miss Bailey already has 4 paper clips, so she already has 4. She finds 2 more on the floor every week. So she finds 2 more, that's adding, and every week she does that, so it's going to be a 2x. Let's do the other equation now too. Miss J has 1 paper clip, so that's a 1, and she finds 2 more in the teacher lounge every week, so she's going to do a plus and then 2x. So my y-intercept here is 4, my slope is 2, but I got to make it a fraction, so I put it over 1, which means I go up 2, right 1. So I'm going to start at 4 on the y-axis, go up 2 and right 1. And we're going to repeat that until we can't repeat that anymore. Okay? Boop. Miss J's y-intercept was a 1 and her slope is a 2 over 1. So she goes up to right 1. So Miss J starts at 1. She goes up to right 1 until she can't anymore. And this one's kind of fun, right? A word problem where there's a no solution. So in no weeks, they will both have not same paper clips. Funny. All right, and this last one here, our y-axis is talking about missing assignments. Our x-axis is talking about days. So Ivan has 16 missing assignments from when he was absent, but each day he completes 3 assignments. Each day he completes 3 assignments. So he has 16 missing, but each day he completes 3 assignments. So that's going to be my 3x. Now I want you to think about this. If they're missing and he completes them, we are subtracting from what he is missing. Okay, this is one of them thinkers. Amarion has 1 missing assignment, but is absent and gains 2 more missing assignments each day. So 1 missing assignment and gains 2 more missing assignments each day. So that's the equation for Amarion. So here I'm not going to write your slope and y-intercept. We should be able to do that by now. Start at 16. Our slope tells us to go down 3 and right 1. So we're going to do that until we can't anymore. Draw my line. And then, so that was Ivan. So Amarion, I think I said that backwards, starts at 1, but he goes up to right 1 until he can't anymore. Okay, and we're going to draw his line. And this works out, right? Because our solution says in 3 days, they will both have 7 missing assignments. And that's where our lines cross. So that's good. All right, now we got substitution. So we're looking for the letter that equals stuff. So y equals this stuff here, which means I will replace my y in the other equation with this particular stuff. So we got a negative 8x minus 5 parentheses, negative 4x minus 7. All of that equals negative 1. For the sake of the video and the time, I'm going to just go ahead and solve this all right away, and then we'll show it at the end. All right, so here we got x equals 3 when we did our math. And look, that works out, right? Because in our solution that we were given here, x is a negative 3. So we did good. Then we're going to take this equation and rewrite it because it's the easiest one. If we're trying to figure out what y equals, why don't we just use the equation that already starts out as y equals? And we're going to replace x with a negative 3 because we figured that out. So let's do that. And again, skipping to the point where I have the solution done. Y is equal to 5. We did good. Let's move on to the next one. So looking for which equation has a letter equal to stuff. That's this first one here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace x with this stuff. So here's my equation with x replaced with the stuff. Now I'm going to go ahead and solve, and I'm going to skip to the part where I get to the solution. All right, so here, when I would combine like terms of 4y and negative 4y, well, those cancel. So all I'm left with is a 12 equals a negative 5. And that's not true, so that means we're left with a no solution. Looking at this guy, our stuff is negative 2x minus 8. That's what y equals, so we're going to replace that into our equation at the bottom. We're going to replace the y with that stuff. All right, so I have that replaced. And again, I just totally replaced the y with that stuff. Now I'm going to go ahead and solve. All right, so here I have x is negative 7, which works out because that's what we got, right? That's what the solution says it is. So in substitution, I'm going to use the equation here. If I'm trying to figure out what y equals, why don't I use the equation that already says y equals and then that stuff? However, we already know that x is a negative 7, so we're going to replace x with a negative 7, and that's the only thing that we're going to change. Now I'm going to go ahead and solve. And look at that, I get y equals 6, so I solved correctly. Let's look at this next one here. So in this one, that bottom equation says x equals some stuff. So let's replace x here with that stuff. So here it is all replaced. Now I'm going to go ahead and solve. So here I got y equals 2, and that's good because that's what it says my solution is. I'm going to bring down the x equals equation because what we're trying to figure out now is what x equals. But I got to make sure to remember to replace this y with a 2 that we had figured out prior. And look at that. When I do my math skills, I get x is equal to -2. The biggest mistake I'll see you guys make is you'll substitute incorrectly. Like in this one, you would say, oh no, let's replace this y here. No. Next one. So this one, our stuff is y equals to -5x plus 17. So I'm going to replace my y with that information. All right, so that's done. So now I'm going to go ahead and solve. I replaced my y correctly. So in this one, when I distribute, I get 10x minus 10x plus 34. But when I try to combine 10x and -10x, they cancel, right? They give me a 0x, which I don't have to write. So I'm left with 34 equals 34. And this is true. And since all of our letters are gone and this is true, I get an infinite solution. Last one for the substitution, we get x is equal to -4 minus 4. So we're going to replace x with that. And now that I've replaced x with that, I'm going to go ahead and solve. Just remember, you're distributing a -3 into the parentheses. When I do my work, I end up with y is equal to -5, and that's good. Now I'm trying to figure out what x equals, and the best equation for us to do that with in substitution here is the equation that it already says x equals and then some stuff. Just be careful here because you are going to replace the y, but remember there's a -1 in front of this y. And when I do that, I get a 1 for my x, which is what I want. Just be careful when you plug in during this problem right here. All right, so next up is elimination. So in this one, we should get a solution of -8, -5. So in elimination, you got to check to make sure everything's lined up. And in this case, my equation is all lined up. X's, Y's, equal signs, numbers. Now I got to check, do I have same number, opposite signs? And in this case, I do, right? My Y's have the same number, 7, and they both have opposite signs. So they can get canceled. So that means I add everything else together. -5x plus 8x is 3x. Equal sign, 5 plus a -29 is a -24. Divide away that 3 on both sides, and we get x is equal to -8, which is what we want, so that's good. Now I'm going to use one of my original equations here. It doesn't matter which one, but I'm going to use the one with the smallest numbers. Rewrite it. And I know x's number is a -8, so I'm going to go ahead and replace that. And then I'm going to solve from here. All right, so when I solved, I ended up getting y equals -5, okay? So that was awesome. Just be careful with your signs. This is one of those ones where if you forget that a -5 times a -8 is a +40, it's gonna mess you up your whole day. All right, let's look at the next one here. We gotta check, is everything lined up? Oh, look at that, we got y's and x's. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip-flop the locations of these. So that 2x stays positive, that -4y stays negative, and then equals -2. All right, so I don't care about this guy anymore. So let's look at our problem now. We're looking at these two. Same number, opposite signs. Well, let's see. Our y's have same number, opposite signs, so they cancel out. That means we can add everything else together. So this leaves us with a -2x equals a 10. Divide -2 on both sides, and we get x equals -5. And that's good because that's what it says the solution is. Now I need to rewrite one of these equations. So I'm just going to rewrite this first one. -4y plus 2x equals a -2. I already know that x's number is a -5, so I'm going to replace that. And then after I replace that, I am going to go forth and I'm going to do some math here. So let's do it. All right, so I end up with y equals -2. And that's good. I got both my answers that I needed. So let's move on, right? Forgot to circle this. All right, next one, we're going to check, is everything lined up? In this case, it's not, right? We got x's and y's here. That's a no-go. So let's use the top one and flip-flop locations. So that -4x goes up front, that -8y goes in the back, equals 20. So I don't care about this guy right now. Looking at these two equations here, do I have the same number and opposite signs? I don't have opposite signs, but I do have same numbers, right? The y's got a same number, and that's good. but I need to figure out how to make these opposite signs. Well, what I can do is multiply an equation by a -1, and that changes everybody's signs. So now I'm going to use this pink equation and this blue equation to solve. All right, so I'm going to add these two together because now my y's cancel. -4x plus 5x is 1x equals 20 plus -21 is a -1. Divide away my 1 and we get x equals -1. And that's what I got for up here in my solution. Right there, that guy. So I'm going to pick one of these original two equations to figure out my other number. And I'm going to use this first one here because it's got like the least amount of negatives. I already know x's number is a -1, so I'm going to replace that. And then I'm going to go ahead and do some math here. All right, and when I do that, I end up with y equals a -2. So I got my solution. We're golden. Looking at this guy, I should get a no solution. Well, let's look at this. Everything is lined up, right? X's, y's, equal signs, and numbers. So that's good. I have same numbers, not only for my x's, but for my y's as well. But they don't have opposite signs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this top equation, multiply it by a -1. So I get -3x minus 4y equals 17. Now I can cross this out and cross this out because they are both same number opposite sign, which leaves me with 0. -8 plus 17 is a 9. Well, that's not good. 0 can't equal 9. So that's how we get a no solution for this guy. In the next one here, we should get an infinite solution. So we got 3x plus 4y equals 4, 9x plus 12y equals 12. So everything lines up. So that's good. I don't have to rearrange. However, I don't even have same number. But my brain notices I can turn a 3 into a 9. Okay? And nobody's got opposite signs either. So I can turn it into 3 into a 9 by multiplying by a 3. But remember, for elimination, we need to have same number and opposite signs. So right now, if I take 3 and multiply 3x, I just get a 9x. I don't want a 9x. I want a -9x, so I can eliminate. So instead of multiplying by just a 3, I'm going to multiply by a -3. And I'm going to do that for everything in this equation. So this gives me a -9x, a minus 12y equals -12. And now I can do math. And you see what happened? This cancels because same number opposite signs. This cancels because same number opposite signs. So we're left with a 0 on the left side of this equation. And then 12 and -12 cancel, which left with a 0 on this side of equation. So it looks like my little man with the glasses. And this leaves me with infinite solutions. Number 6, we should get -3 and 6. And this is the last one here, so let's do it. Everything's all lined up, right? We got x's, we got y's, we got equal signs, we got numbers. Everything's lined up. We don't have same numbers. That's not good. But do we maybe have opposite signs? Well, it looks like the y's have opposite signs. So is there a way I can turn a 2 into an 8? Yeah, right? I can turn a 2 into an 8 by multiplying by 4. And let's just check here. If I take this 2 and multiply it by 4, I should get a +8 because I want to have opposite signs. And will that happen? Most definitely. So let's do it. Let's multiply by 4. So this gives us 48x plus 8y equals a -48. And that works out. Now can I flip stuff around? I'm sorry, can I eliminate stuff? Yeah. The y's eliminate because they got the same number 8 and opposite signs. One's positive, one's negative. Add everything else together. -6x plus 48 is a 42x equals -30 plus a -48 is a negative, Miss Rawolf, not a -48. 4 times 24 is a -96. There we go. -30 plus a -96 is a -126. Divide 42 on both sides. X equals -3. Yep, and that worked out. Hey, and that's part of our solution. Very good. So what I'm going to do is I am going to use this first equation because it got the least amount of negatives here for me to work with to figure out y's answer. We already know x is a -3, so it means I'm going to replace x here with a -3. And then I'm going to go forth and I'm going to do some math using my calculator. And I end up with y = 6. That is part of my solution. So I got the same stuff. So that's the end of this review. Study from it, do your best, because tomorrow we got a test. Hey, that rhymed.